a group environment, priority is to get kids autonomous as soon as possible. They need to be able to learn to read notes straight away. And this is in order that once they've got their basic bits of information, they can then progress at their own speed, at their own level. And in this piece, I'll refer them to the inside front cover. This is the cello one, just to remind you, which is useful things to know. And the whole idea of this little easy accessible front page is that it gives them just the information that they need to know in order to play all the pieces in this book. So nothing extra, no extra theory, not a lot of text. It's all very, very basic information. So here you'll have on the top line, you'll have the open strings, and I'll draw attention to that, and I'll say, can you describe how the open strings look on your music? And then I'll turn back to this piece and I'll say, can you tell me what the first note is? And hopefully they can at that point. If not, I'll tell them, refer to the front cover. So you're giving them the wherewithal to answer their own questions for themselves. So I'm going to do a little experiment. This is how I would do it with the whole class, if you wouldn't mind joining in. D, sh, D,
G, D,
okay.
A, D, G.
Yep. Thank you very much. So that's precisely what children do as well, okay? They just start doing that, and this is a great opportunity because it gives you a chance to just watch the class, see how many children are doing it, how many of them are staring out the window, or how many of them are just copying the person next to them, and how many are really able to do it easily. But the nice thing about doing it in a group context is that the tempo is decided by the group. So you've got the ones who want to go forwards, but they're being pulled back by the ones who are struggling a little bit. So it already gives them a collective sense of responsibility about how they're doing it. It also gives you a chance to spot the ones who are struggling, and it's really important not to let them continue to struggle, because this is not a difficult task. It just means they might want to go a bit slower. So I would then pinpoint those kids and I would ask them to do it again, perhaps by themselves, just to give them the confidence that they can, because if you lose them at this point, then you're going to really struggle to get them back, because they'll get into this mindset that they can't really do it very well. But of course they can. There's nothing difficult about reading notes. And then we might pluck this one. It's a tune that I personally don't always come back to all the time. It's more an exercise in reading, but it sounds like this. It's quite a gentle one, and the rhythm, the clarity of the rhythm isn't very obvious on the backing track. This is to really encourage them to listen very carefully and to be aware of what other people are doing as well, so they don't just get drowned out by a loud ostinato. The next piece. This is a piece that I might not show them. I might do this by rote. A lot of these tunes I would be teaching by rote. It's very important in a classroom environment that they are playing about 80% of the time. I don't want to have to explain things too much, okay? So, and I mix up the way I teach these things, so I don't always just bung the music in front of them and start explaining it and all the rest of it. I'll have different ways into each piece to keep the lesson alive, and it means that you can pace your lesson a bit like a concert program, where you have your lively and your slow and your relaxed and your pieces by rote and your pieces that require quite a lot of thought, like the one we just did. So Manhattan Blues, this is where I would be starting to use the bow for the first time. You all have ways of teaching how to hold the bow. I like to have the bow pointing up to the ceiling in front of them, and I ask them to do this. Check that their pinky's on top of the stick, check that the front finger's round, check that the thumb is more or less at a straight line with the rest of the arm, if anything pointing down but not pointing upwards, which you might see. This takes a lot of pressure off the grip, because you don't want kids to be gripping the bow like this. If you're showing the bow like this, it can encourage quite an aggressive hold, because they've got to stop it falling on the floor. Whereas this, it naturally feels much more relaxed. So that's what I do. Everyone's different, but that's what I like to do. And I'll say we're going to play a tune, and it's called 4 Ds, 4 Rests. And it goes like this. Rest, 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 rest. Rest, rest. And when I started doing this, I improvised some accompaniment to keep them steady, keep the rhythm steady. And that turned into this tune. Everybody's different in the way that they like to play this piece. My preference is in the rest to do settle on the string, keep the hand relaxed, and then just do maybe an elbow bounce, if you like, or even a sort of string crossing bounce, thing like that. Because I think it's nice to encourage them to have contact with the string without making any sound at all. Because I've noticed even in advanced kids, they find it psychologically difficult to stop moving on the string. They always want to take the bow off the string like that, and that can create tremendous tension in the string. So I think it's quite nice to encourage early on the idea of stopping on the string. Rest, 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 rest. Having said that, some of my most very esteemed colleagues prefer to do this instead. Windscreen wipers. Windscreen wipe. And the kids like doing that as well. I think the idea is to get a nice free movement in the bowing line. Yes.
So Thomas, you said before you started with shh, shh.
Yeah.
Using that, and now you've jumped to rest.
I might do both. I mean, everyone is. I think kids can they know. Well, it's called a rest in the front of the book. I might say rest, 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 or shh, shh. I do both.
But it doesn't matter when you cross over from shh.
Do you know what? I don't even notice that I do that. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. With the kids, sometimes once they latch onto the shh, they think it's actually something they should do. So they should be going shh, shh, shh. So I suppose one reason why I might call it rest is to sort of mix it up a bit so that they know it's not something they should do. They're not supposed to do something except nothing. They're supposed to count in their head. And either they'll say rest, rest, or they'll count the beats, or they'll think shh, shh. Because to get them to stop going shh, shh can take some time. If they get into that habit too early, it's not a big deal. I suppose I'm leaving it open. It's up to you how you decide you want to do that. So this is Manhattan Blues, and this is an improvisation piece. I'm going to use my guinea pig now, if you don't mind. So we're going to play this together, and then at the end you'll see down here it says, now make something up in the breaks. And what I'll do is I would normally pass it down the line. We'd have a line of, we'll have 3 lines of 10 children, so I would do 1 line each. I would normally accompany on the piano as well for this one, in order to tailor it specifically to the group of kids that we've got. But obviously with the accompaniment, the backing track, you'll want to do whatever works best. So this is Manhattan Blues. Children, I'll go up to the end of the line and I'll play something like this. Back into minor key, you know to get ready to play in tune one more time. Windscreen wipers, or elbow bounce, whatever you prefer. Bounce, 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 bounce. And then as I progress through the year, I might want to make it a little bit more. We'll come back to this once they've started using fingers as well, or we'll use that other one as well. And then I might be more specific about how much time they have to use. Or I could ask them to just copy what I'm playing. So I could do, if I could say copy me. Now you make something up for me. Oops. And we join back to the tune now. Dance in the gaps as well. And that's Manhattan Blues. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, so So, thank you for that generous applause.
Please.
And we'll go on to the next one.